race he's going to win.
Mohamed Patel wins the
Other than Rd.6.
Oh, he's done it!
Look at these two go!
He's going to do it! His first victory!
The World Championship is done. What a race it's been!
Good afternoon and welcome to Belgium for round 6 of the Formula SimRacing Academy Championship from the legendary Spa-Francorchamps circuit. 2 weeks ago, Valet eSports Stavros Musadis took his first victory in only his second FSR start at Le Mans, narrowly triumphing over Netrex's Liam Howard, who gained crucial ground in the Drivers' Championship. Loic Moynier was third, but championship leader George Zalagianis spun out of fourth whilst chasing the Irish driver, crawling home his ground effect SimRacing car to a lowly 9th position. My name is Edward Hunter. Myself and broadcast director Felix van Delft will take you through qualifying and 27 laps of racing action from one of the most challenging and unique circuits that our calendar has to offer. We're joined, of course, by our broadcasting partner VCO, alongside our sponsors Masisi Esports Clothing, SimLab, and 3D Wrap, who will, of course, be supplying prizes to our world champions at the end of the season. And if you want to see what some of those prizes look like, here's a video by 3D Wrap themselves. We'll be back on the other side for qualifying. Welcome back to Spa-Francorchamps. We're qualifying about to begin imminently. And of course, after that, we'll be set for 27 laps of racing action. So alongside me, of course, is my co-commentator, Felix van Delft. Felix, what can we expect from this circuit day? Lots of slipstreaming down the Kemmel Straight, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, these cars are always going to be quite fun at a track like Spa-Francorchamps. Personally, this is one of my favorite tracks. Like you say, out of La Source, of course, a very big run up Eau Rouge, coming into Le Cam. The slipstream is going to be massive, and I think that's where we're going to see the main overtakes. But definitely don't count out of Stavelot and through Blanchimont coming into the bus stop. I think there's going to be some opportunities for overtakes here. Of course, we have the DRS. And we also have the push-to-pass system that the drivers will be able to use. I think the cars have been slightly updated since the last race, so there is a slight difference in how the cars will work, and how the push-to-pass will work. So maybe that will change a bit things how the drivers will cope with that. But I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see how they do. I think qualifying is already underway, so we should have a look at what the drivers are doing.
Indeed we should. And of course, in Academy, we can always expect some unusual moves in unusual places. So the drivers try their hand and see what works. So I'm very excited to see how qualifying is getting along then, as we see Loic Moynier in the middle of a lap in his Team Iris car. And of course, Moynier finished third last time out at Le Mans, in the middle of a pretty good run of form at the moment. In the I believe he's in the top 4 in the championship, not too far behind Giannis Ilianos and Liam Howard, of course, who are second and third. But it's a 34-point gap between Liam Howard and George Zalagianis, of course, was the runaway championship leader. And I remember we sort of talked about Howard closing in. But actually, Zalagianis sort of increased the gap because Lianos had a really difficult race at Le Mans. And as we see, it's actually Peter Vagapov who's at the top of the times on a 1:42.1 at the moment for Valet. And of course, I was commentating yesterday on Valet, and I'd look at the titanium skid mark through the middle sector there, and it just looks like we're going to see sparks flying throughout this race, I imagine, especially through Eau Rouge and Radion.
Yeah, Something new that was added to the game as well, the sparks. So we're gonna see some nice fiery bits coming from under the cars, especially through corners, like Eau Rouge. When the car bottoms out, the sparks will appear. Just looking at Taylor Lane, putting his first banker lap in. Everybody else, as you can see on the tower, starting their second attempt. It's quite tight here in Spa to be able to do 3 attempts within the time. So I think everybody will try to do as many as possible, as Taylor Lane has a very big slide coming out of the bus stop there. His first lap for now good enough for 24th position.
Yeah, there we go. And Taylor Lane, not a driver we've seen in action too many times before, but certainly getting a decent opening time on the board. And that last, the bus stop chicane, I remember I was watching Mitch Hoyer doing some practice. I saw him constantly trying to be so careful not to drift out on the full lap out of that final corner. It can be really treacherous, especially if you've not done too much practice, that you get on the power too early and you find yourself embarrassingly spinning at low speed. But we look at Bukout in the middle of a lap, and it sets a personal best first sector. What's his time through the second sector looking like? He's about to cross that line now. And it looks like... oh, it's another personal best, 44.2. So Wesley Bukout doing pretty well out there. He's certainly the closest to Peter Vagapov at the present moment. And it certainly feels like in the championship since Le Mans, because Grand Effect really were having things their own way. And it feels like suddenly, to coin a British expression, the worm has turned. Feels like Iris, Valet, all these other teams have suddenly really caught up, as we see Wesley Bukout power towards the line. Is this going to be good enough for pole position? No, he didn't quite nail the final sector, so he remains second, just under 2/10 behind Peter Vagapov, as we see Vagapov also not improving on his best lap time, but certainly pretty close, and he cuts the chicane completely and finds himself stranded in the runoff.
Yeah, that's not gonna help him at all. Lukchak also coming to the last corner. Didn't have the best middle sector, so I don't see if this is going to be a big improvement, but let's see what it's going to be across the line.
And so the Royal Blue driver climbs up to 8th. There we go, about half a second off of Vagapov's provisional pole time at the moment. Someone struggling at the moment, as we watch Thomas Smith, is the man just ahead of him in the order, Liam Howard, who of course was second last time out at Le Mans. And suddenly all of his championship rivals are sort of in the top 5 or so. So Liam Howard really needs to get that Netrex a little bit further up the grid as we go into the final 2 minutes of qualifying. Thomas Smith goes towards the line, and it's a better middle sector, but not a better time. He still remains about half a second off the pace, so there's a big pack between basically 6th all the way down to about 11th, where they're all really, really close together. And his Musadis, who won, of course, last time out, the man of the hour, really. 4th in Silverstone, 1st at Le Mans, and here we have another classic driver's circuit that he hopes that he can get himself up the order. Here we go through No Name Corner, and he just about gets it nailed on the curb. And those are the kind of corners that can really catch you out if you're not experienced enough, because once you get over the curb, it's so easy to lose control, and you have to take a lot of risks to get the lap time out in qualifying here at Spa.
Yeah, it's not an easy car around this track. Also, setting it up, you want to obviously have
a little bit wide. Here we go through Stavelo and Paul Frere corner.
Yeah,
and
go ahead.
Yeah, it just looked like Musadis pushing that a little bit too hard, as he might get just one more lap in before the clock runs out. But I certainly think Musadis is going to have to do a lot of his work in the race. I think he might have left it a little bit too late in qualifying, but he is on a personal best through the first 2 sectors as he goes through the bus stop and actually gets on the bus. Oh, a little bit of a squiggle, but not too bad. Let's see what he comes to as he goes towards the line. Musadis climbs up to 5th, so a really solid attempt there, 1:42.5, as Bukout continuing to push, but Salagianis very nearly beat Vagapov's time and has jumped him on the grid onto the front row. So Bukout really needs to nail this lap. It's going to be his last attempt as the sparks fly out as he goes downhill through Malmedy and approaching the no-name corner, or Speaker's Corner, I believe, as it's now called. He goes through the left-hander and looking all neat and tidy so far. If he can just build on that personal best first sectors once again, the sparks flying out in every direction on that Iris. Comes all the way through to the Piff Paff chicane. now going to Paul Frere. And it's looking pretty good so far. Here it goes to the split. Is he up? No, it's actually a slightly slower middle sector, so Wesley not quite nailing it together right when he needs it. And Musadis and Brantfon, they're in the pit lane, so they won't be improving. So it's really down to Wesley, and potentially Lianos has actually set a pretty good middle sector. Moynier as well. So let's keep an eye on those two. Liam Howard actually sets 2 personal best sectors. 7 temps down on Bagapov, who could well get his first pole position. In fact, has gone purple in the middle sector. But here comes Wesley Book out towards the line now. And he stays third. He improves, but not enough to take pole position. Here comes Vagapov, that purple middle sector. Very impressive indeed. Peter Vagapov really... Oh, and he just slides a little bit on the entry into bus stop and then completely loses it on the exit. The rear tyres crying enough. He goes towards line, but I don't think he's going to improve on that 142.1. But has Peter Vagapov done enough to secure pole position? Because I think everyone else behind him has finished their lap. So there we go. That's pole position for Valet and Peter Vagapov.
Yeah, in the end, it was enough with that big slide out of the bus stop. I wasn't too sure about it. Of course, Alagianis behind was still also improving, but the gap between the two, extremely close, but in favor of Vagapov for now.
Yes, and Liam Howard climbing just to 8th right at the end there. Let's see if that's going to be enough to keep him in contention in the race. But here we go. The grid then. A best lap of 142.166 by Peter Vagapov, with George Alagianis falling 700ths short of that in second, but still on the front row. Good recovery by Zalagianis. Wesley Bucat in third. Gianni Lianos will start 4th in the second ground effect car. Loic Moynier in the other Iris will start 5th. Musadis will start 6th ahead of Dano Brandholm. Liam Howard will start 8th in the NetRX. Scott Flack 9th for Super Venturi. And then Fabrice Morleto rounds out the top 10 for Competition.
Yeah, half a second roughly between the top 10. Tightly packed already for I mean, quite a long lap here around Spa-Francorchamps. So I think that's promising to see what is going to happen for the race here.
Yeah, absolutely, I was just going to say that, Felix. That if the race is anything like qualifying, then we are in for a treat, that's for sure. So, and of course, big championship implications, of course, if Peter Vagapov can get himself in the mix, if Liam Howard can get himself back up the order, and if George Alginis can recover from Le Mans and get a good finish. But there we go then. We prepare for the race. 27 laps of frantic, furious action, and we're going to see the return of DRS down the Kemmel Straight, of course. I think it's just the one DRS zone, if I'm correct, Felix? Or is there another one through Blanchimont?
I'll just quickly check to be sure, but I'm pretty sure that is indeed where we will have the DRS this week.
Because historically, I'm certain it's only the one DRS zone, and I'm pretty sure I'm correct on that. We might also have DRS on the pit straight.
Yeah, that's going to be the second one, pit straight. But I mean,
it's a very short straight there. But of course, the track. It's mainly the traction you get out of the bus stop, which determines whether you're going to be close enough to make a move into La Source. And often, if you can get up the inside of La Source, you actually find yourself vulnerable on the run down if the other guy has gone on the outside and carried a bit more speed through it, all the way down through Eau Rouge, Radion, and down the Kemmel Straight into Lecum. But anyway, we wait now for the grid to form up, and we will get to run through the entire order and let you know where everybody will start as we look at the track getting ready to be raced on. Of course, legendary circuit Spa-Francorchamps has been around for a very, very long time. I think it's pretty much the only circuit in the world that was originally basically designed out of a river, which is why, of course, you have corners like Eau Rouge, which I believe is named after a mineral water that was or a river. I believe Rouge is French for river, so I believe that's why the corner is named after that. I'd have to brush up on my history, of course, but certainly I've got better knowledge of the racing action at Spa, which has been around since before World War II, of course. So certainly been around a long time. It's certainly changed a lot over the years, but certainly the current version of Spa we have is definitely one of the top circuits that we visit, not just on the FSR calendar, but in racing in general.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, strategy is going to be a thing here as well, obviously. Academy 27 laps long race. Well,
How many pit stops are we looking at, Felix?
Good question. That's a very good question. I think, I mean, we've seen throughout the Academy series, most of the times it's a 1, maybe 2 stop. So I think it's not going to be much different here. Of course, tire wear is a thing here in Spa a little bit, but it's not the most high wear track that there is on the calendar. So I think we're going to see similar as what we've seen before. Taking into account, though, the tires and the way they behave have slightly changed with this update that has come in the last week. So it might be slightly different coming into this race, and let's see if the drivers were able to adapt to that well enough. So maybe we'll see a 2-3 stop. I don't know.
Yeah, certainly the runners at the back, we've seen a couple always go for like the hard tyre and to see if they can run long and see if it can make a difference a bit later in the race. I think Spa is one of the circuits where you really want to be on fresh tyres at key points in the race so you can make overtakes. It is one of those tracks where it's a bit like Silverstone. You don't really want to necessarily be out there on old tyres where you'll be a sitting duck effectively. We saw that with Lianos actually when he battled against George Zalgianis, that he tried to do 1 stop less. And at the end, he was just completely vulnerable. About 3 or 4 laps to go, he just got beaten. And that was literally just because Zalgianis didn't come out in enough traffic when he came from his final stop.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, a little bit of a delay before we see the grid, I guess. But I'm sure we'll get it.
Coming now.
Oh, okay. Sure thing. Right. Okay.
Go.
Right. So, it's Peter Vagapov then, who will start from pole position from George Zalgianis. Then it's Wesley Bucat in 3rd from Giannis Lianos. In 5th position, Loic Meunier, with Stavros Musadis just behind in 6th. Daniel Brandholm 7th and Liam Howard 8th. Liam Howard will be hoping to make progress there from that position. Then it is for Bruce Morlato 9th, Romulo Silveira 10th, Greslik Lukzak in 11th, and Thomas Smith 12th. There's a couple of grid penalties, I believe, that have been applied to a couple of drivers from Le Mans. Dmitry Zaharov will start 13th ahead of Gijs Sonneveld in 14th. Jared Batala 15th ahead of 10 Snapvangers in 16th for Netrex. Then it is Nando Marsa 17th, Dylan Hember 18th for Severin Arrows, Owen Kilhausvik 19th, and rounding out the top 20, Perseus Miriam for Royal Blue. Then 21st, we have Scott Flack for Super Venturi, Taylor Lane for Valley Esports in 22nd, Alex Hallows 23rd, and Thomas Andriam Harisoa in 24th. Jurka Slovenak will start 25th, just ahead of teammate David O'Reilly in 26th. Christopher Acing will start 27th, ahead of Zakikowski Vladimir. Then it is Istvan Single for Ground Effect 29th, and rounding out the field, Matthias Harveg in the number 13 entry. I believe serving out a penalty, he was disqualified and sent to the back of the grid after what happened to him, what he did in Le Mans rather than what happened to him. So there we go, Vagapov just going through no-name corner and in the middle of Sector 2. They're making his way to the front of the grid. First time that we've seen Peter Vagapov start from pole, and probably his best chance in a while to win here. We saw him and George Zalgianis hit each other in the pit lane in Le Mans, so they'll be hoping a bit less of contact on this occasion. I'm sure they'll both be hoping to keep it clean on track, not just in the pit lane.
Yeah, for sure. Looking at the tires, top 6 all on the softs, and Davo of Branton is going to be the first guy starting on those medium tires. Interesting to see what he's going to do coming throughout this race. And then Howard Morlato also on softs, and then a bit more medium runners behind that. Yeah, like I said, I think Branton is definitely the one to watch here, strategy-wise, if he's going to extend that first stint and then be a bit faster in a second stint. Obviously, overtaking is definitely possible at Spa, I think. So let's see how this turns out.
I'm surprised Liam Howard didn't go for the mediums, qualifying in 8th, because that would have been an interesting move. But he thinks he can make progress on the softs. Problem is, so do all the others around and ahead of him. So yeah, it's going to be quite an interesting start then. But keep your eye on Zalgianis. He made a monster getaway at Le Mans. I think he's got designs on doing the same here. But it's going to be quite the run to Lecombe on this first lap. Anyway, the drivers now just forming up. We've seen the last few coming round the bus stop. But it is a big grid. A couple going in.
Yeah.
Somebody going in the pit lane, yeah. That looked like a Severin Arrows car.
It even looked like he didn't have... Yeah, he doesn't have a front wing.
Oh, so not the best formation lap we've seen then from that individual. But luckily, they will be able to make the start as we see everyone in position now. And the lights about to come on. Tension building rapidly now. Here we go. In a few seconds, they will be released, and the Belgian Grand Prix will be underway. And we get going, and Peter Vagapov makes a decent getaway, and it's actually Bukout on the inside of Zalagianis for second position, and the other Iris getting involved too. Moynier actually goes up to second, and Vagapov has a clean run as Zalagianis goes all the way off the track there and is pushed wide. And it looks like Liam Howard has made a monster getaway, and he's ahead of Zalagianis up to third position. Wow, what a start by Liam Howard on the soft tyres. But it's Vagapov leading Moynier, Howard, Bukout, and then Zalagianis with Leonos close behind. I believe Leonos may have gone for the hard tyre here. I'm not sure if that's entirely accurate. But here we go. Push to pass already in use by some of the back markers. And Bukout trying to get back alongside as Zalagianis tries to get alongside Liam Howard. And all the way around the outside goes Wesley Bukout. Another fantastic move by the Dutchman as he gets up to fourth position. And that was not the start, Felix, that Zalagianis had in mind.
It definitely wasn't. Apologies, by the way, for the stuttering. Slight technical difficulties. Let's hope this will sort itself out as this first lap goes on. But yeah, definitely not the start that you want to see. Some incidents in the back of the grid already at the start of the race, I believe. So a few drivers without a front wing, and Matthias Harvik already out of the race.
Yeah, another bad race for Harvik then. But he'll be back next time, I'm sure. We'll have a nice summer break now. The race up front continues as Howard desperately trying to build a little bit of a gap over Wesley Bukout. And Bukout, we've seen a couple of times him having to do recovery drives. But now he starts the race in a strong position in the top four, in between the two championship contenders. I'm sure Wesley Bukout would love to be ahead of both of them. And here we go. He's having a think about the inside of the bus stop, but not quite far enough alongside Liam Howard. And Zalagianis is still there. All these guys on soft tyres, remember. So they're all going to be pitting at around about the same time, at least. We could see a bit of strategy convergence at the first pit stops. But it seems for now, they're all very, very evenly matched. But it's Vagapov leading by over half a second from Loic Moynier, who made an absolutely fantastic getaway. Him and Bukout, to be honest. Ooh, Rouge I go. The sparks really flicking up behind them. And certainly Liam Howard trying to give Moynier a bit of a faceful to ward him off. As we see Sonneveld, I think, has got up to 9th, just behind his two teammates, Brandholm and here's Smith actually trying to challenge Sonneveld. And he's up the inside. They go into Lakum, and he's going for Brandholm as well. Just has to back out of that one. That's Silviera, sorry. As Smith just gets on the power as they go downhill. And he's got someone on the outside. That must be Silviera trying to come back at him. And Smith just about covers him off as they approach No Name Corner. And then towards Pujon they go as Smith goes very, very wide. And certainly the Severin Arrows in a bit of a battle here with the Valets. Through Pujon they go, and Smith, it looks like he's understeering a little bit as Vagapov starts using some push to pass in the lead. He might be getting a bit worried about Moynier getting close to him with the DRS. Apologies again if you're experiencing the jittering. But hopefully, like instead, it will resolve itself and become a bit more watchable as the race goes on. But we're still just getting to the end of lap 2 now. Moynier closing the gap on Peter Vagapov. So no wonder he was using these push to pass because Moynier is a big, big threat to the Valet right now. Here they are. There's a big train behind Liam Howard. But Moynier has got aspirations on winning here. He's been on the podium, not won yet this season. Neither has Peter Vagapov, to be honest. So these two are really going to fight it out, and it could well be a two-horse race now if these two keep pulling away from Liam Howard. And Moynier now in the DRS. So here we go. He's going to have his first attempt as they go up through Radion and onto the Kemmel Straight. And Moynier well in the slipstream as Vagapov attempts to break the toe. But Moynier closing, and not closing enough though. He decides not to risk it on lap 3 of 27. He's still got quite a way to go. Moynier looking very strong at this stage as Vagabond goes a little bit wide on exit of Lecum. Certainly the pressure being applied at this very early stage in the race as Howard continues to hold off Bukout behind. And Grand Effect continue to find themselves in a bit of a pickle because they can't really seem to make progress on Bukout and Howard. As, a little bit of a drift through Pujon by Vagabond, got to the inside very early there. And here the valets just holding off Smit, Silviera and Sonneveld. And Sonneveld trying to go around the outside of Silviera as they approach Piff Paff. And good move by Hal Sonneveld there. And the Dutchman, who I've commented on before, he's a big championship contender in ERC Formula E. Getting himself, I think that's actually Silviera holding off Sonneveld, sorry. I got a bit confused there. So the positions remain the same then. And here's the lead battle. Moynier going to have to mount another attack then as we approach the start of lap 4. Vagapov will have to get his elbows out at some point, you think. It seems inevitable, doesn't it, Felix? That Moynier is going to make another move.
Yeah, looking at the gap, obviously, he just needs to... very late braking there for turn 1. Almost runs into the back of Vagapov.
That shows you the confidence that Loic Moynier's got under brakes. But Vagapov seems to have got the better exit. So Moynier will hope to just get into the DRS and ride the coattails as they go up for Eau Rouge and Radion. Fantastic to see the sparks being thrown up through there. But here we go. Moynier gets another run. Will Vagapov break the toe? Yes, he does. He's doing exactly the same thing he did on the previous lap. But Moynier, he's not really any closer. And it's Howard who's having to defend just behind as Bukout is trying to go around the outside of him. And he's done it. There we go. Lovely move by Wesley Bukout to take third position then. And that's not what Liam Howard wanted at all. So the two championship contenders are going to be very close together on track. And Howard has seen Zalagianis bruise around the outside of him before. He will not want to see that happen to him again. But Wesley Bukout, it's a good day for Iris so far, as they both are now going to try and put pressure upon Vagapov. Look at the sparks through Pujon as well out of the back of Liam Howard. He needed to throw as many of them as he can at George Zalagianis, but he's not going to be put off by that at all. And meanwhile, it looks like Sonneveld has got Batala challenging him for 10th position. Azarov is also gotten by Smit on his medium tyres. As they're all using push to pass there, so there's a very, very tense battle. Behind is Howard, breaks and Zalagianis goes around the outside of him towards the bus stop, so good opportunism there. I think Liam Howard almost didn't expect that to happen. As now, Loic Moynier takes the lead on the outside from Vagapov into La Source, and Vagapov tucks him behind. So is he going to try and get DRS back on the Irish driver? He's not had a good exit. Here we go. Let's see. Is this strategic from Peter Vagapov, or is he genuinely lost position here? For Eau Rouge they go, and he gets very, very close and almost loses it. And off goes Vagapov into the wall and upside down he goes. Oh, that's a horrible crash. And there's somebody hit him there. Oh, there's not much of Peter Vagapov's valet left at all there. It's such a good job going on pole position, leading the first couple of laps. But it's all over and in dramatic fashion now. It's Moynier from Bukout and from Zalagianis, because Howard has been overtaken there in all the chaos there. But what a horrible crash there from Peter Vagapov. You never like to see someone exit a race that way. And now Liam Howard finds himself in difficulty also. But wow. I've not really got too much to add to that, Felix.
Yeah, let's have a look at the replay quickly, see if we can find out what I think he
got too close into the toe. I think Vagapov genuinely got caught by surprise there into La Source. So here we go. He's behind. He's closing, almost like he's preparing to use the DRS. He gets as close as possible, gets too far in the way, and it just swaps ends on him as he gets to the top of the hill. And the wheel, so lucky not to hit the Iris there, and all the two Grand Effects and Liam Howard doing well to avoid the wheel as it goes across the circuit too. So very lucky we didn't see any collateral damage there. But Vagapov joined Snetvangers and Lane, as well as Harvig, out of the race. And now Lianos wants a piece of Liam Howard. So from his good start, Liam Howard finding himself really on the defensive and under pressure, as once again he sees a Grand Effect go around the outside of him. But they're still right together as they exit the bus stop. And Liam Howard got a slightly better amount of traction, and he's going to be on the inside line into La Source. Here we go, but Lianos completes the move. And Howard will have to tuck into the DRS as he sees his title rival disappearing up the road. Not good news for Netrex at all, as Iris and Grand Effect are now going to start to take control of this race. Here comes Liam Howard. Is he going to get a decent run with the DRS and into the slipstream on Lianos? Here we go. Oh, he's got so much overspeed. Up the inside goes the Netrex. And Liam Howard back into 4th position then. So Lianos will not get the better of him on this occasion. And Musadis, once again, sneaking up on the both of them. Liam Howard will not want to lose position to him in the closing stages like he did at Le Mans. So Musadis will put pressure on the both of them. But Howard holds 4th by the skin of his teeth for now. And we're into lap 6 now. And Moynier leads Bukout by 2.2 seconds. Felix, do you think the Irish drivers will start to squabble with one another? Or will they worry about Zalagianis behind, who's only about a second behind Bukout? He could start mounting a counter-attack later in the race. And we've got Musadis not too far behind either. We've seen the pace that he's capable of as Howard goes really wide into pit path. Well, anyway, through Paul Frere they go. And Howard kicks up some more sparks to aid his cause. But Lianos, once again, as they go through Blanchimont, is right behind him. Could he mount another attack around the outside into the bus stop? Oh, he's trying it. Alongside he goes. Will Liam Howard defend here? Yes, he does. Oh, they make contact into the side of one another. And Howard really having to get his elbows out here as Lianos right behind Musadis will get slipstream off of the both of them. But Lianos once again on the outside with the DRS as they approach La Source, and through he goes. Ow, and Musadis wants a piece of this too. And Zalagianis using his push to pass as well up front to try and keep on terms with Bukout through Eau Rouge. But here we go, Musadis quite sensible backing off before they get to Eau Rouge. And oh, Liam Howard goes wide, and Musadis will surely get alongside him now. The sparks being kicked up as they go side by side down the Kemmel Straight. And Musadis has got extra slipstream from Lianos in front of him. So there we go, Musadis up to 5th position now. So the other valet could well mount a charge for victory after a slightly disappointing qualifying. He's already passed Liam Howard then. Very impressive by Musadis. Liam Howard finds himself not where he really wanted to be. And surely the soft tyres, we've seen the soft tyres start to degrade now. They should be a little bit past their best for some of these drivers. We could see a couple of them in a couple of laps' time. There's our leader then, Loic Moynier. He really took the lead on track before Vagabond crashed, so he's there completely on merit. And built the gap to Bukout to 3.5 seconds now, so Moynier is really flying out there. Looking in a very, very strong and commanding position then as we get to the end of lap 7. As Bukout is using push to pass to defend from Zalagianis. He's only a couple of tenths behind him. Here we go. For Blanchard, does Zalagianis fancy a run around the outside? Oh, not quite. He wasn't quite close enough to pull the move out on Wesley Bukout. Bukout's the one who usually does those kinds of moves. Is into the pit lane he goes. So Bukout, his tyres crying enough. And that promotes Zalagianis to second then. And he will get DRS, of course, down the main straight because he was right behind Bukout. This is where he came in. Into the box he goes. And the Iris puts some fresh tyres on. There we go. Mediums being applied to the number 22 Iris. And Bukout exits the pit lane. And he's going to rejoin the race in about 12th or 13th, I think.
Yeah, and with such a short first stint, only 8 laps, I'm thinking this has got to be a 2-stop for him.
No, he's just emerged in 11. He's just beaten Marsa out of the pits, but Marsa will get some DRS behind him. So he's got to hope he warms up those tyres quickly because Marsa could be all the way around the outside of him if Wesley's not careful here. Here he comes. Is the ground effect teammate going to help Zalagianis out by holding him up? No, he can't quite get alongside into Lecum. So there we go. Bukout should be released now to chase Thomas Smit for 10th position. And keep an eye on Wesley Bukout's lap times because if he starts setting great times on the mediums, then all those soft runners could be coming in. There's Liam Howard trying to shadow Musadis now. 8 seconds behind the lead. So this lot still in the battle for that final podium position with Lianos. So this could really go either way. But as I said, Bukout will be charging up the field behind them. 18 seconds down after his stop. And Smit on much older tyres will be quite a juicy target then for the Iris. And remember, they only get about, I believe it's about 60 seconds push to pass they get throughout the whole race. So they've got to make good use of it, as Thomas Smit already using it now and starting to worry about Bukout behind him. Howard tries to keep Musadis in sight. The valet more than enough tricks up his sleeve, and I think Liam Howard doing well to keep Brandholm behind him. Quite a way behind him, actually. There we go. Bukout has already gone around the outside of Smit into the bus stop to take 10th position. And he's closed the second on Moynier, so I wonder if Moynier might respond here and come into the pits for his own stop before Bukout undercuts him. Sonneveld using a little bit of push to pass too, actually. So it seems everyone sees Bukout coming in the mirrors and uses just a little bit of push to pass, so they're just safe at the end of the Kemmel Straight, I think. Is that what's going on there, Felix, or are they battling with each other?
Well, I mean, yeah, the name says push to pass, but it's obviously also a little bit of push to defend and just try and keep lap time, maybe catch up a little bit to the car in front to try and use it. So, yeah, I think people are probably using a little bit more now to try and defend from the pace that Bukout has on his fresh new tires, obviously, and to try and just get a little bit more pace out of the car than it has on its own, using that push to pass.
Do you reckon Wesley Bukout is doing an extra stop here compared to the rest of the field? Is that why he's come in so early? Or do you think literally the tyres are degrading, he's going to try and get the mediums to last longer to compensate?
Well, he did 7 laps on his first stint. And
Liam Howard going really wide there.
Going to do 20 on the mediums, I highly doubt that is possible. Unless, I mean, if he thinks it is and if he makes it work, sure, well done. But I think it's going to be a difficult one for him to make that work. So probably going to do another stop with around.
I think something happened to Sonneveld there because Bukout just got by him and then Sonneveld has dropped to 13th. So I wonder if how Sonneveld has hit trouble somewhere, perhaps spun, or as Moynier now comes into the pits from the lead. So Zalagianis assumes the lead. As I did predict Moynier, and he's 2 laps later, he's come in. And he's going to come out just a couple of seconds ahead and right behind Jared Batala in the Royal Blue. So he'll get a bit of slipstream and DRS from Batala, which is excellent for Moynier. So this is great strategy by Iris. But it seems ground effect of running long in this stint, along with everyone else. And here comes Moynier past Batala, who should not be a significant threat on his old mediums. And sure enough, Moynier makes it through. Is this a good strategy then by Iris, do you reckon, Felix? Or do you think it remains to be seen? Because there's so much. There's still 17 laps left to go. It really depends what kind of pit stops the leaders get. There's still the 4 leaders out in front on their soft tyres. But Brandholm, like you said at the start, is the one leading the train of the medium runners, basically. Who are just ahead of Moynier, Silviera and Brandholm in the valets. So they won't be doing him any favours because they'll be trying to help Musadis out on his different strategy.
Yeah, I mean, it very much depends to be seen. I think it could work. Spa is definitely a track where you can make an extra stop work because overtaking is relatively easy. But to actually make it work in practice, well, we'll have to wait and see if that works. Loic Meunier already passed.
There we go. He's gone past him at Blanchimont. That's a very brave move by Bukout. But as I said earlier, we're used to seeing those moves. Bukout actually gets a little bit wide through the middle of bus stop there. But just about gets himself sorted out as Howard has come in as well. So he's bailing too. He's doing the same strategy that the Iris is doing, and he's going to come out behind both of them. So this is interesting by Liam Howard. He's sort of in no man's land though, isn't he? Because he's kind of in the middle in between the 2 strategies. So we'll have to see if he can get it to work. Yeah, Silviera watches Loic Meunier disappear into the distance in front of him. And surely it won't be long as Meunier uses a bit of push to pass as well to try and get onto the back of Brandholm.
Yeah, Brandholm, of course, was that first car on the medium tires at the start of the race. So I would expect him to be going quite a bit longer on this first stint. Try and make the best use of those medium tires, but you can see already how much time he's losing on one medium tires.
Sonneveld is out. I think he might have crashed out there because he was dropping down the order, and there's Moynier getting behind Daniel Brandholm, and Brandholm's tires really starting to degrade as they go through Pouhon, and Moynier's all over him, weaving left and right. And Brandholm surely is going to be overtaken in a matter of moments, not laps, as round the outside goes Loic Meunier back into 4th position then. And not much that Dano Brandtholm could really do on his old tyres. And Silviera has actually caught him in all of this as well. So Silviera is going to get right into the slipstream too. Will the valets fight each other? They'd be wise not to be honest. But they might just, for their own sake, get into their own race and not worry too much. As there we go, almost looked like a rehearsed move there. Brandtholm letting Silviera past him. And certainly not putting up too much of a fight there as Moynier continues on. 8 seconds now behind the leaders. So Moynier has made great progress there. Bucat still 12 seconds down behind Batala and struggling to catch back up. So this has worked a lot better for Moynier actually than it has for Bucat.
Yeah, Bucat was just behind that slightly bigger train and had to overtake quite a lot more cars than Moynier has.
Yes, and Liam Howard in a similar position too. He's just got past Nando Massa for 10th position and he's in the DRS behind Smit. Try and get in through into ninth position. But here are the two Grand Effect cars running those soft tires as long as they will go. Mercedes doing the same and keeping them very honest indeed. So it feels like Grand Effect and Mercedes know something that the rest don't, because they are doing a very, very different strategy here. And through goes Wesley Bucat past Jared Batala. Batala did well to hold him up actually. So it seems the softs are able to run surprisingly long as Batala actually lets them wiggle out on him as the traction disappears completely. And I think Batala might be headed to the pits quite soon, along with some of the leaders. There's Moynier, only 7 seconds down on the lead. Now, surely Zalagianis and company will have to respond to the pace that Moynier is setting here.
Yeah, I mean, with the pace that he's doing, right, he's catching up a second, maybe two a lap. If they don't come in within the next 2-3 laps, he's going to be at the back of them. And then basically, you already know that their strategy, whatever they do, is out of the window.
Yeah, even if you do one pit stop less, like I was saying earlier, if you've not got the tyre life, then you're going to be in real trouble because Luke Mooney is just going to open the DRS, use push to pass, and then Bob's your uncle. He's through. So, yeah, Luke Moynier really putting pressure then and dictating the pace of the race and the strategies of those in front of him. Is Zalagianis, yes, pits. So I believe Lianos will now take the lead. Musadis also staying out too. So Zalagianis sort of had to respond now. But yeah, it's sort of like Liam Howard as there we go, switches to the medium tyre. But him and Liam Howard are sort of on the same sort of strategy in terms of tyre life. But I think Zalagianis will be slightly better in terms of position. But he's going to come out behind Bucat. And Howard just gets by Batala because Batala is coming to the pits too. So Howard in a little battle with Thomas Smit for 8th position. But Luke Moynier gets up to 3rd now, only 4.9 behind the leaders. And there we go. This is the battle for 8th between Howard and Smit. Howard really having to take risks then to get back up through the field. Smit, will he defend this one? He goes to the inside, forces Howard to go the long way around. But Howard has got more than enough slipstream in DRS to complete the move. But Smith's still there. Just backs out at the last minute. Slightly deceptive camera angle there. So Thomas Smit in the Sevenaris car giving way. Battling right up until the point where it's not wise to keep the front wheels in and then conceding defeat. So a clean driving from the both of them and Howard through to 8th position and but now 7 seconds behind Zalagianis, his title rival, who has been really undercut by Bucat here. There's Lianos, his teammate, struggling on the old tyres. He's starting to fall into the clutches of Musadis, really, 1.4 behind him. So Musadis could still be on for the podium here if he can outfox the ground effect drivers, but will they respond to what Zalagianis has done? Here we go, towards the bus stop they come. It looks like... Yeah, of course, they couldn't pit at the same time because they really needed the box clear for both drivers. And in comes Lianos. Musadis staying out though, so Musadis really now the odd one out. And Moynier is going to be upon him very, very quickly because those soft tyres must be almost extinguished now, not giving much grip at all. I'm amazed Mercedes has got them to lap 14, almost half the race on the soft tyres. So he's going to have very, very fresh mediums by the end of this if he switches to them. Moynier, not quite in range, but surely Mercedes is going to pit at the end of this lap as Lianos emerges in between Zalagianis and Howard, I think. Bucat right behind Brandtholm, so he's making a move with push to pass and DRS in full effect. There we go, up the inside into Leicum, and the 41 is up into 3rd position. So Ira is back in control. The valet can't really... They're sort of sandwiched in between the two valets now, so Brandtholm can't really help his teammate out anymore. Zalagianis will be upon him shortly as well, because Branfon will have to pit more likely before that happens.
Yeah, obviously still on those medium tires that he started on. Doing a decent job so far, but I think indeed he should start looking.
Well, he's going to be fighting with
pitting,
Smith and Silviera by the end of the race, hopefully. If he can get the soft tires to perform, we'll have to see. Mercedes, of course, it's got Mournier now only 2 tenths behind, so that really shows that there's no life left in this soft tire at the end of his stint, and Mournier may even pass him before he has to come into the pit lane. But here comes Zalagianis then. He might do the same to Branfon. Branfon using his push to pass, trying to hold up Zalagianis for as long as he can. But Zalagianis is surely going to dive up into. No, he thinks better of that. And Mournier retakes the lead then as Mercedes continues to stay out. No, he doesn't actually. He's coming to the pit lane. That's why Mournier's in the lead. I apologize. But there we go. Zalagianis to wait another lap before he can challenge Branfon, who moves up to third. Oh, and right up the back into La Source. But Zalagianis really going aggressive on the brakes. Mercedes emerges back in 7th position, just behind, a couple of seconds behind Liam Howard, so it's actually worked out not too badly for Mercedes. Here comes Zalagianis then, slipstream and DRS, working well as he cuts to the inside. Nothing Dano Branfon can do to hold up the ground effect driver, and Wesley Bucat's not too far ahead either, so Zalagianis still in play for that 2nd place, but Mournier has checked out 6 seconds up the road. And it's going to be interesting to see if Mournier has to do an extra stop, though, having pit so early. But doing that meant he could undercut those around him and dictate the strategy that they all had to respond to what he was doing. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see the final few laps whether Mournier can keep those tyres alive or have to make a late charge. What do you reckon, Felix?
Tough to say, to be honest.
It's really down to him, isn't it? It's all in his control.
Yeah.
But here comes Zalagianis right behind Bucat. Bucat can really do his teammate a few favours here by putting up the best defence he can. But once Zalagianis opens that DRS, really a matter of when, not if, really. Especially down the Kemmel Straight with the way Zalagianis has been driving so far in this race. And there's Branfon surely about to come into the pits in a couple of laps' time behind them. In fact, he comes in immediately. There we go. So the mediums, he's pitting a lap after Mercedes did on the soft tyres. That really shows the job Mercedes did, keeping those softs alive as long as he did. But the performance towards the end of that stint was pretty horrible. They looked very second-hand. And Howard now moves up to 5th, but he's a long way adrift of Lianos. As here comes Zalagianis. Sparks flying out from all sorts of places on that car, lighting up like a Christmas tree. As he pulls out to the left with the DRS. He's going to go the long way round of Wesley Bucat. Not much that Wesley can do here. Surely is he going to break late into Lake Coombe? No, he doesn't. And around the outside goes George Zalagianis to take 2nd position. And now he's free to chase after Loic Mournier. Will Zalagianis now focus on time management and not worry too much about the gap? Or will he push to catch up to Mournier? I think he's probably going to push to catch up, because he's a racing driver and that's what they tend to do. I don't think he can rely on Mournier making another stop here. So as we see Single and O'Reilly also coming into the pits a bit lower down the field.
Zarov and Andrea Miasoa, currently the only 2 drivers on the entire field on the hard compound tire.
Yes, I'm not sure that's going to work too well for Zarov. I think he didn't qualify particularly high up the field, so he sort of decided to stay out a bit longer. But he's only already climbed up to 18th behind David O'Reilly. There he is. He's kind of in no man's land, really, quite literally on the track. Quite a few seconds adrift of O'Reilly and Morlato on the mediums, not far behind either. So Zarov trying to make those striped hard tyres play to his advantage, but it's really not been going too similarly for the Valet driver so far.
Yeah. Obviously interesting to see, but...
And there here's Branfon after making his stop on the softs now. And he's going to try and go all the way around outside of Jared Battaglia and does it before they even reach the bus stop.
I think it was a backmarker.
Oh, it was that would be why, yes. So he's still battling with Battaglia then. It was another Royal Blue, which is why I got confused. It must be Graham Harrisora, I think, who's just making way as Severin Harris comes into the pits behind them. Must be Slovenak or O'Reilly. It's Hember, actually. There we go. So here comes Branfon. Tucks in behind Batala and Smith. This is a great little battle, actually, for 7th position between these three. And Branfon will be the stronger, but there's Smith with no DRS. Going to be very vulnerable. It's through the middle. Goes down on Branfon, and this is risky. Will he go around the outside of Batala? Yes, he does. And oh, no! He's got it wrong, and Batala tags the rear of him. I don't think Branfon was far enough alongside around the outside to complete the move. And he thought the tyres had just enough grip, but I don't think Batala could really have gotten out of the way there.
Yeah, I think it was just a little bit ahead still. Let's see if we can get a replay of that.
Yeah, but certainly unlucky there for both drivers. I don't think they meant to really come to grief there. But Branfon really trying to get the best out of those soft tyres and taking a big risk that didn't quite pay out for him, unfortunately. I just think that he was going through the middle of both of them. It was just always going to be a bit difficult. There we go. So around the outside he goes. He wasn't clear. Batala didn't really have enough time to get on the brakes there. But thankfully he was able to cut across the inside and hold position in the Royal Blue. But Branfon down to 9th. And we'll have to do that all over again, you think. Passing those two. But yeah, it was such a... Because he was worried about the outside there with Smith. And then he almost thought, right, I'm clear. And didn't think about who was on the inside. But... just a minor misjudgment, so easy to do. Anyway, here is Lianos, who's also closed in on Bukout. So, Dalgianos hasn't made too many inroads. It's still just under 7 seconds behind Moynier. But Lianos and Dalgianos making big inroads on Bukout. So, Wesley, I think, perhaps used up his tyres a little bit during this stint. And is now in a sort of vulnerable position to the ground effect machines. But Lianos... who really recovering well after a very, very difficult race in Le Mans. Now right behind Bukout and applying maximum pressure. Here we go through No Name. And Buhorn not really a passing spot, but he might be able to get a bit closer as they approach Blanchimont at the exit of Piff Bath and Paul Frere. Liam Howard trying in vain to keep up with Musadis, who is about 6 seconds down on this battle. He's, of course, the most recent one to pit, so he'll be on the freshest tyres. Lianos, he goes for the exit through Paul Frere. A little bit of sparks kicked up by Wesley Bukout. And I think we're having to see defensive driving once again from Bukout. As here we go through Blanchimont. He's got a very, very good run, has Lianos. Is he going to go round the outside into bus stop? Yep, he's going to try it. But he's not far enough alongside to really execute the move. Here we go. He focuses on the exit. Bukout dies for the pit, so he's making that second stop with 8 laps to go then.
Yeah,
early.
Onto the soft tires, surely. And he will be quite quick.
Looks like Assing is pitting at the same time as well in the Valet down in 22nd. So let's hope Bukout doesn't get held up by the Valet there. But this certainly... it certainly makes you question what Liam Howard and Mercedes are going to do now. Mercedes will can probably run a bit longer, but Liam Howard is sort of in a similar position to the Irises. And there we go. Wesley Bukout being held up on the exit by Assing. Gets well out of the way now. But there we go. But let's hope Wesley Bukout didn't lose too much time as he switches to the soft compound tyre. And big 10-second gap to Howard in front of him. So Wesley Bukout has now got to really pump the laps in and hope that he can undercut the ground effect drivers. But here comes Assing trying to get DRS on him, despite being a lap down.
Yeah.
And thankfully moving out of the way and braking quite early. But Assing, of course, in a battle with, I believe, Miriam, not far behind him. As O'Reilly in the Severin Harris car is retired as well. Also now into the pit lane, down in 18th. The other ground effect. But we'll be interested to see what Moynier does now, because him and Bukout pit at a similar time. Zalagianis has got the gap down to about 5.5 seconds, so he's taken a second out of him in the recent past. Will Moynier risk it, try and go to the end, or will he make that extra stop? Because I think Grand Effect now are going to try and go to the end. But surely they're going to stretch the tyre, because that's the best chance they've got to win. And Moynier, on significantly older tyres, is going to... Yeah, there we go. Into the pits he comes. So... crucial pit stop for Iris now, for race leader Loic Moynier. As Zalagianis now takes the lead on his mediums, and it's the soft compound going back on to the Iris. So the two-stop strategy for both Irish cars. Moynier is going to emerge behind Musadis, but might be able to get out just ahead of Liam Howard. Here we go. And Howard nowhere to be seen because he's just, has he just jumped ahead of him? Or is that Musadis?
No, that's Musadis.
It is Musadis, there we go. So Moynier will close to the back of him and will at least start this run with a bit of DRS. So 10 seconds, the gap to the lead that he's got to close down now. So Loic Moynier, man on a mission, 7 laps, 3 cars to pass, and he's got it all to do.
I think definitely not impossible, but tough for him to be able to pull off. Let's see if he is able to.
And the ground effect drivers, the problem is Lianos will work as the rear gunner to Zalagianis, but now Moynier already right on the back of Musadis and challenging. How much is the valet driver going to fight this one? Musadis will desperately want to finish on the podium if he can, but I think 4th might be the best he can do, because Moynier really, really strong today. And Bucat similarly has got ground to make up, but I think the best that Bucat can do is maybe beat Liam Howard for 5th. But right through Piff Path, you can see the soft tyres being so superior. A bit of snap from oversteer from the steering from Loic Moynier. He's got to set up himself through Blanchimont and into the bus stop, surely. There we go, 9 seconds now, the gap to the lead. So he's even stuck behind Musadis. He's closed the gap to Zalagianis. Here we go, to the outside he tucks through Blanchimont. And Moynier is going to have to really get his elbows out. And they're still alongside as they approach the bus stop. Who's going to break latest? It's Moynier on the inside. But Musadis is still there, and he's going to have to cut across it. The rear spinning out. And he just completes the move there. But that was much closer than he would have wanted there. And Musadis really not making it easy whatsoever. Do you think that was a clean move, Felix?
It was, it was hard racing for sure.
Yeah, because we saw with Brandfarm what happens when you're not fully alongside. And thankfully, the bus stop are much slower corners, so Moynier could just about get away with that one without spinning around and losing too much time. But he did go back to 10 seconds now behind Zalagianis, so he lost a little bit going the long way around. But here we go, free to chase now. Zalagianis and Lianos will get a little bit worried. 6 laps, 9 seconds the gap, and Moynier surely lighting up the timing screens right now as he sets personal best sectors. But Bucat, meanwhile, is caught. He's only 3 seconds now behind Liam Howard. I think Howard is in trouble here. Musadis could even be in trouble by the end of the race if Bucat can set really, really good, consistent lap times. But it's really hard to say. It's either going to be Zalagianis or Moynier that wins this race, in my opinion. And I think Zalagianis, with Lianos right behind him, I think is doing everything he needs to win the Belgian Grand Prix. And here we go. There's a TR car, lap traffic that's in the way for Loic Moynier, but it gets out of the way fairly quickly, thankfully. Not too much time lost there. And yeah, the ground effect, it's really way too late now to back out. So if the mediums really start to fade away at the end of this, Moynier gets the gap down to 8 seconds, we could really see some very, very defensive driving from Lianos in a very short amount of laps. As Moynier just about another sort of dodgy run through the bus stop, but just about able to get the exit that he needs. And Musadis is retired. So something happened just behind this. Because it looked like Musadis was lapping the TR car and either got disconnected or made contact.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So Musadis, such a shame. His first 2 starts in the Academy Championship were excellent, but now his first start at Spa ends in a DNF. A real tragedy for Stavros Musadis.
I don't think the replay is going to...
Well, okay, so we won't be able to see what happened there, but I'm going to assume that it was just a bit of bad luck there as he continues to drop down the timing board. And here is Bucat already on the back of Liam Howard. 14 seconds now behind the leaders, so I'm not sure Bucat is really going to be able... But the upshot now with Musadis out of the way is this is really good news for Liam Howard, as it lets him gain another position, but he could be demoted to 5th anyway if Bucat can get around him. And I think on the older tyres, Liam Howard has not got too much chance to hold on here. Because Bucat, we've seen how good he is at overtaking and surprising people in front of him. The battle further back, actually. But on loads of people on the soft tyres in their second stint, as Brandfarm has actually got by Smith quite a while ago. It's all a little bit wide as they enter Paul Ferret. Goes Liam Howard. And surely Bucat is going to be all around the outside of them before they even get to Blanchimont. Around the outside he goes, and sparks flying from the both of them. And Liam Howard still alongside, still there, but there, Wesley Bucat completes the move and gets up to 4th place as Loic Meunier is only 6 seconds now behind Zalagianis. He's going to catch. He's only 4 seconds behind Lianos. He's certainly got the time to catch them, but he's got to make sure that he doesn't leave any time here on the table. These are the most important laps of the race for Loic Meunier, possibly the most important laps of his season, because there's a big chance of victory here for the Irish driver. And how much would that mean to him to win at this historic, legendary Spa-Francorchamps circuit? The Frenchman is charging right now, or he was, because Zalagianis has responded and got the gap just to 7 seconds again. So clearly a little bit of DRS there, I think, helping out George Zalagianis. But he's certainly using it well, and that could well make all the difference as we get to the very, very final stages now. Liam Howard, unfortunately, will just have to hold on to 5th position. He's got a big gap to Batala behind. So not too much threat there. It's Meunier really pushing and taking risks through No Name and actually losing a little bit of time. The gap goes back up to 7 seconds. Has Meunier taken the best out of his tyres too early here? Because if he has, that could hand victory to Ground Effect. And look through Piff Paff. Oh, it's not looking as on rails as he did at the beginning of this stint, Felix.
Definitely doesn't. Last lap was about 2 seconds faster though, so if he keeps that up, he can still most likely catch them. But this lap, like you've said, doesn't look like it's been as good as the last few have been. So
yeah, well, he really needs the mediums to fall off a cliff, and that's not really happened. Zalagianis and Lianos have been coasting him around. You could just see Lianos in the distance there, about 4 seconds ahead. But Meunier, it's oh, and the rear sliding out horribly as they exits the bus stop chicane and starts another lap. But he has closed a little bit, despite having a little bit of a tricky lap there. That was a really, really bad lap.
You're about 3-4 tenths quicker compared to 2 seconds in the previous lap.
Yeah,
so
perhaps this is just the trade-off then. If you chew through the soft tires too quickly, they don't respond so well. And this could be part of that new update for rFactor. The softs are good for a couple of laps if you push them as hard as Meunier was doing. But eventually they tail off as well, and the harder tires, the mediums, will be the better tire to be on, perhaps, in the closing stages. But Meunier hasn't given up, that's for sure. He might just catch Lianos before the end, with 3 laps left to go. It's a long lap here, of course. But this is really the closest battle on track. As Vieira and Branfom still running sort of in formation, and Branfom in the DRS behind Silviera as they fight over 7th position. And they've got Batala not too far ahead, so this has really been the battle for 7th that's been going on behind the leaders all race, with the 2 Valets and the Royal Blue. The Smith sort of dropping out of it now. These 2 on the soft tyres, but Batala on the medium, so we're sort of seeing a similar situation to Meunier chasing the leaders up front with the 2 Valets. And Silviera, I think, fancies a run as Meunier uses a bit more push to pass. So he's still within about 4 seconds of Lianos, or 3.4, I think, at the moment. And he's still closing, but not quite enough as he would have hoped. And Lianos, to his credit, has actually closed a bit on Zalagianis. Having pit a lap later, he's only about 2.6 behind the leader now. But here comes Silviera. Both him and Batala, I think, use a little bit of push to pass as they approach Blanchimont. Here we go. Oh, look at the sparks at the back of the Royal Blue. Silviera cuts to the inside, but doesn't have enough of an overlap to make the move here, as Meunier is inching ever closer to the back of Lianos. And a bit of push to pass from Zalagianis as well. Silviera, with the DRS now, will start to really, really challenge Jared Batala in the final 2 laps. Gets to the back of the Royal Blue. Tucks in right behind the gearbox. And surely he will use DRS once they get to the top of the hill here. Through Rouge they go, through Radion, through Blunt, and now through the Camel Straight. The DRS opens wide. Silviera cuts to the inside. Not much that Jared Batala can do on the outside then. Got to see where he lands on the brakes. And through goes Silviera up to 6th position. Of course, it's the battle for 6th, not 7th, as I said with Mercedes out of the picture. And Meunier 2 seconds now behind Lianos on lap 25 of 27. And pushing like crazy, but trying to make sure he doesn't chew through the life in these tyres. I think there's a chance at second, but I can't see him beating Zalagianis at this point because he had that scruffy, just that one bad lap transformed his race really, didn't it?
Yeah, last lap was around just over 1 second quicker as well. So, yeah, if he keeps this up, I think he'll have a chance at Lianos. But Zalagianis, unless he makes a mistake, is not reachable for him.
Yeah, and Bucat is about 10 seconds behind this, so not really part of the picture. Continuing to pull away from Liam Howard. Oh, as Monia has a little turn, extra go at turning into the source there, but thankfully he cuts in. And both him and Zalagianis using push to pass, and Lianos saving his for another lap. But on lap 26 of 27 now, so Monier's really got to get on with it here if he wants that second position. But Tala has now got Branfarm using DRS on him to go over the start-finish straight. But I think Batala is going to have to really fight to hold on to that 7th position. But here comes Moinier. Continuing. Put pressure upon Lianos. You can see him now. And it always makes a bit of a difference psychologically. When you close up to the back of someone, you get within a few seconds, you can see them. When they're in the distance, you sort of think, oh, it might be difficult to catch them. I've just got to keep pushing here. As Branfarm finally gets past Batala for 7th position. So Valet's 6th and 7th then. But Moinier now right in the wheel tracks of Gianni Lianos. And Lianos, of course, he's got to be rear gunner here, but there's also his own championship he's thinking about. He wants to get max points for himself. So he'll fight for this second place tooth and nail, I think, as Moinier now well in the slipstream. Here we go, approaching Blanchimont. And like Moinier is going to breeze around the outside. Lianos sends him the long way round. A little bit on the runoff there. As Moinier, breezes around the outside and is through into second position. The gap to Zalagianis now, 2.4 seconds with just one more lap to go. But surely Zalagianis has done enough to hold on. And Lianos couldn't really offer him too much in defense there. Zalagianis uses probably the last of his push to pass. But Moinier will give it everything to try and win the Belgian Grand Prix. But there we go, the gap, you can see it in front of him, and perhaps the soft tyres a little bit past their best, as Moinier really using all of his push to pass now, as he goes towards Eau Rouge and up Radion. Now onto the Kemmel Straight they go. Will Lianos counter-attack? I think he's a little bit too far back, but he has got the DRS open. And crucially, Moinier does not. So Zalagianis will keep that 2-second gap then. And what a thrilling Belgian Grand Prix it's been though. Oh, Moinier just about avoiding spinning off into the barrier there and holding on to second position. So I think Zalagianis has just got to coast it home now as the softs are very much past their best. And I think Wesley Bucat in 4th is probably in a similar position with his tyres. But here we go. Moinier needs to make sure he doesn't bin second, doing all the hard work to get around Lianos. And he's just got to hold on. It would be his best finish of the season, even though it's not victory, it would still be Lookman's best finish of the season for Iris. And but you got to feel this is the one that slipped away for them. We're running 1-2 really before Ground Effect really outfoxed them. And there we go, the gap down to 1.7. But it's just a little bit too late for Loic Moinier as Zalagianis has only got a couple of corners left to negotiate now at this fabulous Spa-Francorchamps circuit. Here he goes towards the bus stop, and George Zalagianis with Moinier approaching in the background, but it's too little too late. Towards the line he goes, and Zalagianis takes victory at Spa for the Belgian Grand Prix with Moinier 1.4 seconds down in second position, and Lianos third in the second Ground Effect entry. But what a fabulous win there. Ground Effect strategically outsmarting Iris by doing one stop less and maximising their result there. What a brilliant drive by the both of them. And also a great performance by Moinier to give us a good show at the end, as someone's lost a front wing there because both the leaders have ran over it, approaching Eau Rouge. And Howard and Bucat finish 5th and 4th respectively, with Branfarm now 6th ahead of Silviera and Batala finishing 8th. But there we go. Zalagianis getting his championship challenge back on song, really. And once more extending his lead. He went in 34 points ahead and of Liam Howard, and he's extended it yet further now. And I think Lianos may have even retaken second in the points. We'll have to see afterwards. But there we go. The last few runners coming over the finishing line now. And it is Schmidt who takes 9th, Luxak who takes 10th, and there's Single coming home in 13th position in the third ground effect machine. And the two valleys of Brandfom and Silviera are really picking up the slack after Musadis retired. Still not sure exactly what happened. I believe he may have been disconnected. But anyway, you have any thoughts on the race then, Felix?
Yeah, I mean, clearly Meunier's strategy was worth a try. I think if he didn't have that slight incident, well, he had a bit of trouble with the back marker, obviously. Had a bit of trouble coming out of the pit lane, and had one or two not so great laps. If he didn't have those, he would have had a shot at winning. So it was definitely very close to work, but just enough for Salagianis to stay in front. But very good effort by Meunier.
If he had just been able to get that one lap together, where clearly the tyres, I think maybe he might have overheated them slightly. That's my theory anyway, because they looked like they were just not providing the same performance that they were a few laps earlier. As we wait for Slovenak, I think, is the last one to finish, because Marsa has retired on the final lap, but I think he will still be classified 17th, being a lap ahead of 18th. Oh, there we go. That's why Slovenak's taken so long to finish in his Severin Aris car. Clearly had a big crash somewhere. But there we go. He's the last across the line. Salagianis, who comes away with maximum points and takes his third victory of the season for Grand Effect. And really, it's starting to look like his championship to lose now, with really only 4 more races left to go once we come back from the summer break, as all on the Valleys deciding they don't need their front wing anymore now the race is done. Fair enough, I guess. Okay, here we go, the final confirmation of the final results then. George Salagianis takes victory from Loic Meunier in a close strategic contest, with Gianni Lianos just losing second to Meunier on the penultimate lap. Wesley Bukout takes 4th from Liam Howard, and a disappointed 5th after a great start. Dan of Brantfom recovers to 6th ahead of his teammate Romulo Silviera. Jared Batala takes 8th for Royal Blue ahead of Thomas Smith in the Severin Aris car, and Grizik Luxak rounding out the top 10 in the other Royal Blue. Then there's Dylan Hember 11th for Severin Aris, Alex Hallows 12th, Istvan Single 13th, Fabrice Moleto 14th, Dimitri Zarov in another valet in 15th, Jurika Slovenak 16th, Nando Marsa 17th despite DNFing on the final lap, Owen Kilhausvik 18th for Royal Blue, Zekiskowski Vladimir in 19th in the TR car, Christopher Assing 20th for valet. Then 21st, it is Perseus Miriam in Royal Blue number 47. 22nd, it's Thomas Andream Hariso. Stavros Musadis was the first of our retirements then, along with David O'Reilly, House Sonneveld, Scott Flack, Peter Vagapov, 10 Snap Vangers, Taylor Lane, and Matthias Harvick.
Yeah, so also quickly having a look at the provisional standings then now.
There we go. So that's a big lead then for Salagianis over Lianos, who retakes second from Liam Howard. He's got a 4-point lead over Liam Howard, but Salagianis has now got a almost over 40-point lead. Looking very, very difficult to beat now, because Liam Howard did not carry through his momentum from Le Mans, I think it's fair to say. Loic Meunier moves up to 4th, ahead of Wesley Bukout, and Peter Vagapov, after his crash while leading, drops to 6th. It's a case of really what could have been for Vagapov today. Silviera is 7th, ahead of Daniel Brantfom, Stavros Musadis 9th, and Matthias Harvick rounding out the top 10. So yes, it's really turning into almost a 3-horse race now, really, for the title.
Yeah, it definitely is, and it's not over yet the season, obviously.
Yeah, there we go. Next round will, of course, be on the 26th of June. We don't quite know where yet. We've got our summer break coming up, but we will, of course, be found out after the World Championship race, which is later. But before that, we've got the pro race coming up, so some great action there expected from those drivers. And we'll have to see what kind of show they can put on. But you'll next be seeing Academy in action, as you say, on the 26th of June. And we'll have some rescheduled World Championship and Pro races in between on the 12th of June to tide you over. So look forward to that. But anyway, from myself and from Felix van Delft, that about wraps it up from Spa-Francorchamps. So any closing thoughts before we leave, Felix?
I mean, obviously, big thanks to our sponsors making it possible for
Of
us
course.
to run today. So VCO eSports as a broadcast partners, 3D Rep, SimLab, and Masita eSports providing us with the prizes for today. But as an event today, I think a very exciting race strategy, working in two ways, and looking forward to what the pro race is gonna give in just about half an hour's time. Let's see. Of course, a bit longer of a race, but maybe a bit more different strategies even than what we had now.
Yep, but I guess that's all we've got time for then. So thanks very much, Felix, for helping me out in commentary. I've been Edward Hunter, of course, and that's been all from the Academy round in Spa-Francorchamps with George Salagianis reigning victorious and taking his third victory of the season. Goodbye for now.